Be me, 38 years old and sitting alone in my apartment on a Friday night, scrolling through Instagram, seeing everyone I know getting married, having kids. Meanwhile, I have not had a serious relationship in over 6 years now, starting to wonder if this is just what my life is going to be. Keep thinking about something a guy said to me 5 years ago tonight. His name was Derek, and we went on 3 dates back when I was 33. He was nice and had a good job and seemed genuinely interested in me, but I found things wrong with him and ended it after date 3. The way I ended it was not great looking back on it honestly. Told him he was not ambitious enough for where I was in life. Said his apartment was too small and he needed to get his shit together. Said I needed someone who matched my energy, not someone still figuring it out. He got quiet for a second and then said something I will never forget. Said I was going to end up alone if I kept treating people like this. Said no man would ever be good enough for someone who thinks like I do. Said I would be 40 years old wondering where all the good men went. I laughed in his face and told him he was just bitter about rejection. Said maybe if he was better, I would not have had to reject him. Said guys like him always blame women when they cannot measure up. Walked out feeling like I had won that conversation completely. Told all my friends about it, and they agreed he was pathetic and bitter. We laughed about how men cannot handle rejection from strong women like us. I screenshotted his texts and posted them in our group chat for entertainment. Everyone validated me and said I dodged a bullet with that loser. But now, 5 years later, I am sitting here alone, and his words keep echoing. You are going to end up alone if you keep treating people like this. I am 38 and single and have not had anything serious since before Derek, and I am starting to realize that maybe he was right about everything. Think about all the men I rejected in the years after Derek said that. There was Marcus, who was a teacher, and I said he did not make enough. There was Jordan, who was 5'10", and I said I only date men over 6 feet. There was Andre, who lived with a roommate, and I said that was a red flag. There was Quincy, who was perfect on paper, but I found his laugh annoying. There was Damon, who I rejected because his hairline was starting to recede. There was Terrell, who I ghosted because he texted too much and seemed clingy. There was Isaiah, who I cut off because his mom called him too often. All of them were decent men who were genuinely interested in dating me. All of them got rejected for reasons that seem so stupid looking back now. I was so focused on finding flaws that I never gave anyone a real chance. And now I am 38 and alone, just like Derek said I would be. My friends from back then are not even around to validate me anymore. They all got married one by one over the past few years somehow. The same friends who agreed every man was trash and none were good enough. Somehow they all found someone while I stayed committed to our shared beliefs. Saw my friend Keisha at brunch last month with her husband and their baby. She used to be the most vocal about how men were not worth our time. Now she is married to a guy who is 5'8" and works in retail management. The exact type of man we used to laugh at and say was beneath us. Asked her privately how she ended up with someone like him, no offense. She got quiet and said she realized she was the problem, not the men. Said she was pushing away good people because of impossible standards back then. Said once she let go of the checklist, she found someone who made her happy. I wanted to argue, but looking at her happy with her family, I could not. She had what I wanted, and she got it by doing the opposite of me. She lowered the walls, and I kept building mine higher every single year. Now she has a husband and baby, and I have an empty apartment. Start thinking about Derek again and wonder what happened to him after us. Look him up on social media, even though I blocked him 5 years ago. Find his profile and see that he is married now, with 2 kids already. His wife is pretty and they look genuinely happy in all their photos. The apartment I said was too small. He sold it and bought a house. The ambition I said he did not have, he started his own business since then. Everything I judged him for, he improved on with someone who believed in him. Someone who did not tear him down and make him feel like he was not enough. Feel sick looking at his happy life while I sit here alone and bitter. I rejected him and laughed at his warning, and now he has everything I wanted. Meanwhile, I spent 5 years proving him right without even realizing it. I was so sure I was better than him, and now he is living my dream life. Decide to do something crazy and send him a message on Instagram. Say I know it has been years, but I have been thinking about what he said. Say I think he was right and I just wanted to apologize for how I treated him. Do not expect a response, but feel like I need to say it anyway. He responds the next day, which surprises me. Honestly did not think he would. Says he appreciates the apology and hopes I am doing well these days. Says he is not angry anymore and forgave me a long time ago for it. Says he actually feels bad about what he said, even though it was harsh. Ask him if he would be willing to talk on the phone for a few minutes. Want to understand what he saw in me that made him say that back then? He agrees and we schedule a call for later that night to talk. When he calls, I can hear kids in the background and his wife laughing. He steps outside so we can talk privately without all the noise there. Starts by saying again that he is sorry for being harsh when he said that, but says he meant every word even if the delivery was not great. Asks if I really want to hear what he saw in me back then. I say yes because I need to understand what I was doing wrong. He takes a breath and says, "Okay, but this might be hard to hear." Says when we were dating I made him feel like nothing he did was enough. Every time he tried to impress me, I found something wrong with his effort. He planned a nice dinner, and I complained that the restaurant was not fancy enough. He bought me flowers, and I said I preferred a different type of flower instead. Says by date 3, he already felt exhausted trying to meet my standards. Not because the standards were too high, but because they kept moving on him. Every time he met one requirement, I added another one for him to fail at. It felt like I wanted him to fail so I could have a reason to leave. Says the comment about his apartment really stuck with him for years. He was proud of that apartment and worked hard to afford it on his own. I dismissed it in one sentence and made him feel like a failure for trying. Says that hurt more than the rejection itself, honestly looking back on it. I try to apologize again, but he says he does not need apologies anymore. Says he worked through it in therapy and with his wife over the years. Says his wife is the opposite of how I was with him back then. She made him feel like he was enough exactly as he was from day one. Asks me why I treated him that way, and if I ever figured that out myself. I admit I do not really know why I was like that with everyone. He says he has a theory if I want to hear it from his perspective. I say yes, even though I am scared of what he is going to tell me. He says I think you were trying to reject people before they could reject you. Says if you found their flaws first, then you were in control of the ending. You never had to be vulnerable or risk getting hurt by anyone that way. But that strategy guarantees you end up alone because nobody can ever win. Says he also thinks I got validation from my friends for rejecting men. Every time I dismissed someone, they cheered me on and called me a queen. It became an identity and a performance more than actual dating for me. I was more interested in impressing my friends than finding a real partner. That hits hard because I know he is completely right about all of it. My friends and I built a whole culture around rejecting men together. We competed to see who could have the highest standards and harshest rejections. Being single became a badge of honor instead of something to actually solve. Ask him what changed for him after we stopped talking 5 years ago. He says honestly, I made him realize he was attracted to the wrong type. He was going for women who seemed impressive but made him feel terrible inside. After me, he started looking for someone who made him feel good about himself. Says he met his wife 6 months after we ended at a friend's barbecue. She was not trying to impress anyone, just being herself and having fun. She laughed at his jokes and asked him questions and seemed genuinely interested. By the end of the night, he knew she was different from everyone before. Says she never made him feel like he needed to prove himself worthy of her. She just liked him for who he was and showed it from the beginning. That made him want to be better for her, not because she demanded it, but because her belief in him made him believe in himself more honestly. Asks me if I have thought about why I am still single after 5 years. I admit I have been blaming men this whole time for not being good enough. Never really examined whether I was the common denominator in all of it. Always assumed the right guy just had not found me yet, and would eventually. He says gently that the right guy probably did find me multiple times already, but I pushed him away because I was looking for reasons to reject him. Says I probably missed out on a lot of good men while chasing perfection, and perfection does not exist. So I was setting myself up to fail always. Ask him what he thinks I should do differently if I want to change this. He says first, I need to get honest about what I actually want in life. Do I want to be right about men being trash, or do I want a partner? Because I cannot have both, and I have been choosing being right for years. Says I also need to examine why I feel the need to tear men down. Figure out where that comes from, and heal whatever wound is driving that behavior. Says, until I do that work, I will keep repeating the same patterns forever. will keep pushing away good men and ending up alone, wondering what happened. Says finally, I need to stop taking dating advice from single, bitter women. They do not have what I want. So why would I listen to their strategies? Find women who are in happy relationships and learn from what they actually do. Not what single women on the internet say I should do from their theories. Thank him for being honest with me, even though I do not deserve his kindness. Say I am sorry again for how I treated him, and for laughing at his warning. He says it is okay, and he genuinely hopes I figure it out before it is too late. Says 38 is not 40 yet, and I still have time if I'm willing to change now. We hang up, and I sit there in silence for a long time, processing everything. The man I laughed at and called bitter and pathetic was right about me all along. He saw exactly where I was headed and tried to warn me back then. I was too arrogant to listen, and now I am living the future he predicted. Spend the next few months actually working on myself for the first time. Start therapy to understand why I push people away before they can hurt me. Learn that my parents' divorce when I was young made me afraid of abandonment. Been rejecting people my whole life to avoid being rejected first by them. Start paying attention to how I talk about men and notice how negative it is. Catch myself judging men for tiny things before I even give them a chance. Notice that my first instinct is always to find what is wrong with someone. Have to consciously force myself to look for what is right instead. Stop hanging out with my remaining single friends who just validate my bitterness. Realize they are stuck in the same patterns and want me to stay stuck too. They do not want me to change because that would mean examining themselves. I have to leave them behind if I want something different for my life. Join a hiking group to meet new people outside my usual bitter bubble. Meet a guy there named Desmond who is nice and easy to talk to. Old me would have found something wrong with him immediately and dismissed him. He is 5'9" and drives an older car and lives in a modest apartment. But new me remembers Derek and his wife and what actually matters in life. Desmond makes me laugh and asks me questions and seems genuinely interested. He does not make me feel like I am better than him or worse than him. We just feel like equals, enjoying each other's company on these hikes together. We start dating, and I have to fight my old instincts every single day. When he does something that would have been a deal breaker before I pause, ask myself if this actually matters, or if I am just looking for exits. Most of the time, it does not matter, and I am just being defensive again. He cooks me dinner one night, and it is honestly not that good to eat. Old me would have made a comment about how he needs to learn to cook better. New me just thanks him for the effort and eats it with a smile. The look on his face when I thank him makes me realize what I missed before. Men just want to feel appreciated for trying, not criticized for not being perfect. Every guy I rejected was probably just trying his best to impress me. And I made them all feel like their best was not good enough for me. No wonder they all pulled away or stopped trying after a few dates. 6 months into dating, Desmond and things are going better than any relationship before. Not because he is perfect, but because I stopped demanding perfection from him. I appreciate him for who he is instead of who I think he should be. And in return, he shows up for me in ways I never experienced before. He tells me one night that he almost did not ask me out after hiking. Says I seemed intimidating at first and like I might be too judgmental for him. But then he saw me laugh at something and my whole face changed completely. That one moment of warmth made him think maybe I was worth the risk. Realize that is probably what I was missing for all those years before this. The warmth that tells people I am happy to be there and open to connection. I was so guarded and judgmental that nobody could see past the walls I built. Derek was right that I would end up alone if I kept treating people like that. Think about messaging Derek again to tell him I finally figured it out, but decide not to because he has his life and I have mine now. He gave me the warning I needed 5 years ago, and I did not listen then. Now I finally hear it, and that is the best outcome for both of us. A year later, Desmond and I are still together and talking about moving in. He is not the guy I thought I wanted when I had my impossible checklist. He is better because he is real and kind and makes me feel loved. I do not have to perform or impress him or prove I am good enough. Realize I wasted so many years chasing a fantasy that did not exist. The perfect man who met all my requirements and never disappointed me ever. That man was never coming because he does not exist anywhere in reality. What exists are real flawed people who try their best and want love too. Derek was not bitter or pathetic when he said I would end up alone. He was trying to give me a gift by being honest about what he saw. I threw that gift in his face and laughed and called him a loser for it. Took me 5 years to understand he was the only one telling me the truth. Sometimes the people who hurt your feelings are the ones who actually care. My friends who validated me for years were keeping me stuck and alone. Derek, who I hated for 5 minutes, was trying to help me change direction. Wish I had listened sooner, but grateful I finally heard it eventually. 38. And finally learning what I should have known at 33 or younger. You cannot tear people down and expect them to want to build with you. You cannot reject everyone and then wonder why you end up alone. You cannot demand perfection and be surprised when imperfect people leave you. Derek was right about everything, and I spent 5 years proving him right. But now, I am finally proving him wrong by changing everything he called out. He said I would end up alone at 40, and I almost did just that. But at 39, I am in the healthiest relationship of my life finally. Sometimes you need someone to tell you the harsh truth you do not want to hear. Sometimes that person is a guy you rejected who owes you nothing at all. Sometimes 5 years have to pass before you are ready to actually listen. And sometimes almost ending up alone is exactly what you needed to wake up.